my wife is she's like, I am absolutely dead. So we had John and Maria Assaraf over for dinner the night before you came into town when all that stuff started. So that started then. And then, as you know, we came home from the event after meeting with Damon, and then two of our friends, Kim and Pat, were here, and we had dinner, and then they were here the weekend. So we did, all kinds of stuff, including brunch yesterday. I was like, and today I'm just like, man, I feel like there's been no weekend. The weekend is gone for the last 2 weeks. And then I head out of town tomorrow, and you go into a bunch of stuff too. So it's like one more week of crazy, and then hopefully some form of a weekend. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Business Lunch with your host Ryan Dice and me, Roland Frasier. Ryan, crazy week last week. We are back from lots of cuddle time together, but and lots of business. But it was busy. It's nice to be back. Did you get a day or two to recover over the weekend?
Man, barely. So we had, for those of you who missed some of the past episodes, we had 2 days of our Founders Board Mastermind, two days of another combo at the same, not combo because that would be efficient, simultaneous Rise Mastermind, and then Epic Board for people doing the business buying and selling. So it was 4 straight days of bananas hanging out with client insanity. It was great, but man, yeah, I was tough. And then I got back, and of course, my children, who I love very, very much, just wanted all of me and my time and the space, which I missed them a ton. It really was great. But to say, did I get any time to just sit there and do nothing? No, it's been nuts. But I'll take it.
My wife is she's like, I am absolutely dead. So we had John and Maria Assaraf over for dinner the night before you came into town when all that stuff started. So that started then. And then, as you know, we came home from the event after meeting with Damon, and then two of our friends, Kim and Pat, were here, and we had dinner, and then they were here the weekend. So we did, all kinds of stuff, including brunch yesterday. I was like, and today I'm just like, man, I feel like there's been no weekend. The weekend is gone for the last 2 weeks.
It's gone. I woke up this morning and I just told my wife.
Town tomorrow, and you go into a bunch of stuff too. So it's like one more week of crazy, and then hopefully some form of a weekend.
Yeah, I feel like I lost a fight. I feel like sore and a little bit defeated, but it was all good stuff. All really, really, really good things.
Well, speaking of wisdom, how you like that for a transition?
I was like, speaking of being like old and sore and defeated. No, I did have a chance to kind of catch up on some reading and stuff like that. And there was an interesting article in the Harvard Business Review that was entitled "Why Wisdom Work is the New Knowledge Work," and it was actually written by a gentleman named Chip Conley, who ran had a big group of boutique hospitality businesses called Joie de Vie. I believe he sold out and did a whole bunch of consulting, for Airbnb. But it's this idea. Do you remember that scene from Dumb and Dumber? When Jim Carrey's character is like asking the little lady on the cart to like watch his stuff for him, and she agrees. And he's like, you know what? Apparently, despite what everybody says, like, old people can still serve a purpose. That I felt like was basically the subject of this, of this article. It's essentially saying that in a time, in an era where knowledge is infinitely available, right? Especially when you think about AI, this concept of being a knowledge worker that was introduced by Peter Drucker is actually getting replaced. Like now, being a knowledge worker, having access to the knowledge and being able to implement the knowledge, everybody has it. It's all readily available. And so everybody can be a knowledge worker, which is access to some basic tools. What's really in demand now is what they're calling wisdom workers. So people who have actual experience. And I just loved this quote. I felt like it summed it all up. He said, according to Harris Interactive, 38% of Americans reported to a younger boss, and the Department of Labor suggests the majority of Americans will have a younger boss in the near future. Physiologically, 60 may be the new 40, but when it comes to power in the modern workplace, 30 is the new 50. And so they're basically talking about how power has shifted away from tenured legacy employees who maybe they've got some wisdom, but they don't know how to use all the cool tools, towards younger employees who knew all the new fancy tools, and now they're kind of suggesting a shift back. So there were some tactical recommendations that I'd love to get your take on, but just initial thoughts, feelings.
So the reason that they're saying that, is it just it's because of the tech, basically, just because of things that are coming along that maybe folks who are older aren't aware of?
So the shift towards tech and all these tools are what rendered a lot of older, more experienced workers at a disadvantage. But what they're realizing now is that all of this tech, while valuable, absent actual like wisdom and experience, isn't always deployed properly. And so organizations are starting to realize that, hey, maybe we do need some of those old people back. Maybe we can't just knowledge work our way through this. We need actual wisdom around. So the pendulum in some organizations is shifting back,
Yeah.
to where some companies, wait for it, are even hiring people over 50. Gross, right?
What?
Can you imagine?
My goodness.
Ugh, ugh.
So I had the
Don't you go
benefit.
right on me.
I have the benefit of, and I think you probably experienced this too. I had the benefit of growing up, always being the youngest guy in a bunch of older people, because I was always, when I was selling real estate and securities and all of those things, and when I opened the law firm, it's like we ended up partnering with. We would look for what you call gray hairs, which I saw that term used a couple times in some recent some recent content that I was consuming. That it's good to bring those in. Usually that's done in reference to so you can have credibility because you're too young to be taken seriously. I think that depending on the market, like I think it's industry specific, because if you're in AI and SaaS, then, like the oldest I've ever felt in my life was sitting on the top of Facebook headquarters in the 9-acre park with the grilled cheese stands on top of a building where they planted an entire park with the 23-year-old who had sold his third company to Facebook and was bored because he had been there for 16 months and wanted to get away. I mean, that I was like, I'm a loser, So, so, so I think, but he had started when he was pre-born. But the thing is I think that now it's, you want the gray hairs not just for the appeal to other people, but you actually value them in your business. And I think even before, like when we ended up partnering with a person that was maybe 20 years older than me and my business partner in the law firm, we were just straight out of law school. So I think that puts us about 26 years old. And we're going for big accounts and things like that. Now, that person did bring a lot of experience that was helpful too. And so I think it's just the same old thing, that it makes sense. The studies have shown that having a diverse age spread and a diverse group of ethnicities and gender identities in your business is pretty much always going to result in a better company. And so that these people who are significantly younger realize that, hey, we don't have all the experience that we need and the business maturity and maybe the networks that have been developed. So let's bring that in and take advantage of it. The difference, I guess, would be saying that it's going to be more that those people are in charge. But I mean, we were in charge when we were doing it back then. So I think it's interesting, and I think it's true in terms of it's valuable. But do I think it's like a revolutionary shift, like the Great Resignation was, or something like that? Probably not. What do you think?
It seems to be a somewhat revolutionary shift, at least this article would suggest it, at a lot of, call it Silicon Valley type companies, like at a lot of companies that really value tech and they really value, that level of understanding. It's a bit of a rediscovery. And that's why I say I think it's a pendulum shift back. Because same, like when I grew up, I mean, and granted, I only had a real job for, about 6 to 8 months, but I almost instantly sought out mentorship of people who had been there longer. And not only did I seek it out, but it was readily offered. It was sort of baked into the culture at the company. And I don't think you see that anymore. I think what you have seen is it's this notion of like the okay boomer concept. Like, okay, boomer, I don't need to listen to you. Okay, what do you know? You don't even, you don't even know how to spell AI.
It's a respect for the knowledge and experience is what you're saying.
It's a respect for the knowledge and yeah, because again, now what they're realizing is, oh my God. And I think where it's happening is it's happening with the 30-year-olds, because the 30-year-olds are realizing, holy crap, these 20-somethings are just as smart as I am because they got access to the same tools. But I don't have that much more experience. And so if you're sub 30, some of these recommendations I think can provide a really good path for you to get the experience that you need and maybe to seek out if you're operating within a company as an entry level team member. If you're over 50, I think that this is going to provide a possible path, a second mountain for you to climb within your same organization or even others. And if you're in that middle, certainly if you're in some type of leadership capacity, certainly if it's your company, looking to implement some of these might make a lot of sense. So there were a number of recommendations. There's three that I kind of plucked out and highlighted that I'd love to get your take on. The first was encouraging legacy leaders to act as internal coaches. So essentially getting your legacy leaders to take off some of the day-to-day work and beginning to have them go through a coach training program. And there's a billion of these that are out there, but it's, hey, we would love for you to expand your role to include coaching up and even mentoring some of our up and comers and creating an expanded role, if you will, on that, and getting them some of the additional training. I know that's nothing that we've ever really done, not in a formalized way. Have you ever seen that done, where when you reach a certain point, you actually got cross-trained in coaching, consulting type deal? Have you seen or heard of that?